Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to talk about the pickups that I got from the recent Comic-Con in Birmingham. Went at the weekend and got quite a few movies. So I'll start with the Blu-rays, and the first one I got is 1031, which is a really good anthology film. There's about 4 or 5 stories in one. My favourite was probably the first story with the two guys in the haunted house. I thought that was really good, but I enjoyed the whole film. It was a really good sort of creep show type feel to it, and really happy to add that to the collection. I got it in this nice slipcase as well, and there's reversible covers on the inside too. So overall, a really good Blu-ray. Very happy to get that one. The next movie I got is A Lizard in a Woman's Skin, Lucio Fulci's movie from the early 70s. I've yet to watch this, and I've actually never seen it. It's one of the few Lucio Fulci films that I've not seen, so looking forward to checking that out. The next film is The Barn, which I absolutely loved. I thought this was fantastic. So got a real 80s throwback to it, and what I like about it is a lot of modern horror films nowadays, they tend to give themselves this label of an 80s type film, but The Barn really does deliver on that. It really feels like a film that could have come straight from the 80s, and on top of that, it's a fantastic film. I actually did a bit of research about it and found out that the director of this movie, he is a long-time horror fan himself, and he wrote this when he was like 9 years old or something, and it's become a labour of love to him, and he finally got a chance to make it. And you really get that feeling when you're watching this film that it's been done by a fan of horror films. So I really enjoyed this movie. Really happy to add it to the collection. Next movie I got is Blood Harvest, which I enjoyed this as well. I heard quite a few negative things about it, but I thought it was enjoyable. Not the strongest of films, but enjoyed it nonetheless. The next thing I picked up was the Blood Island collection. I wanted to get this because it is limited edition, and it comes with all four movies: Terror is a Man, Brides of Blood, Mad Doctor of Blood Island, and Beasts of Blood. These are all low-budget movies filmed in the Philippines in the late 60s and late 50s and 60s, I believe. I've never seen any of them, but I've always wanted to see them, and when I saw someone was selling this, I jumped straight on it. So I'm looking forward to hopefully having an entire evening and just watching all 4 movies. Next thing I got was Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. It's another one of these really nice editions from Vinegar Syndrome. I watched this the other day and really enjoyed it. Low budget, but a lot of fun to watch. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Has some really good gory moments and funny moments, so enjoyed watching that. Next movie I've got was Count Dracula. This is the film that Jess Franco did with Christopher Lee. The non-Hammer horror Christopher Lee Dracula film, essentially. I've never seen it, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I've heard mixed reviews. I think it's quite a slow burner, but I always like to see Christopher Lee in anything that he does, and it'll be interesting to see Jess Franco's take on the Dracula legend. Next movie I got was Enter the Devil. This is a limited collector's edition. Again, this is not a film that I've seen. I know of it and I've heard about it, but looking forward to checking that out. Next film I got was a film called Feed the Light, which I've never heard of before. I just saw it at the Comic-Con and picked it up. It's a very, very bizarre film. It's a Swedish film, black and white, and with subtitles. I'll try and say what it's about, but it's difficult. It's a woman loses her daughter, and so she takes a job in this real kind of like dingy industrial warehouse where there's sort of like these shadow creatures that feed on the light that you need to kind of stay away from. And one of the employees says that he knows where her daughter is in this place, and he will help her to track her down, and she has to sort of make her way through the different floors to try and find her daughter. It's a very, very strange film, but both myself and my girlfriend watched it and we enjoyed it. It's weird, but it's weird in an intriguing kind of way. And we both looked at each other afterwards and thought we have more questions than answers, but nevertheless it's a film that we did enjoy, so worth checking out. Another movie I got is Fiend, which is a film that I've known about for a long time, but I've never been able to obtain it. So when I saw someone was selling this, I jumped on it and grabbed it. So looking forward to watching that. Directed by Don Dola, who did Night Beast, which is a film that I absolutely love. So hoping Fiend will be as good. Next one I got was Invasion of the Blood Farmers. First time watching this, and I really enjoyed it. Low budget craziness, but fun to watch. It wasn't as bad as what I was expecting either. I've heard a lot of reviews that it's like the worst made film ever, and actors are stood staring at the camera and getting the lines wrong. But I actually thought it was okay for sort of low budget filmmaking. So yeah. Next one I picked up was Skinner. Ted Raimi as a serial killer that sort of picks up women and kills them and skins them. This one I wasn't too keen on. It was a bit flat for me. There wasn't really enough to keep me interested. It was actually quite tame. When you read the back of this, it really does describe it as a real sort of notorious, gruesome film, but kind of fell a bit flat in that respect for me. But again, happy to add it to the collection. And the last Blu-ray I got was Teenage Slumber Party Nightmare, which is one of the worst films I've ever seen. I only got it cheap, thankfully, but my goodness, this is terrible. It's sort of just shot like a home movie, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is so boring. And the three girls in it, they look as if they're drunk. Sort of one in particular, they're very much like, oh, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? I don't know. Maybe we could watch a movie. And it's like that the whole way through. It's only like an hour and 15 minutes long, but it is so boring and so badly made. Unbelievably terrible. Real endurance test to get through that one. But you've got to pick up some bad ones every now and again. So got a few DVDs as well. The first one I got was Bad Dreams. And I know this has been released on Blu-ray now, but this is the long out of print Anchor Bay edition. And I got it for like single figures. So I saw it and knew that it was out of print, so grabbed that one. And never seen it before, but enjoyed watching it. It's very, very, very similar to a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. If you like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, you probably like Bad Dreams, because it's identical in some respects. But it's good as its own film. I enjoyed it. Next film I got is The Dark Power, which I remember my dad bought this home on video or DVD years ago, and I just remember him bringing it home, and I don't think I watched it, but I've never owned it since. So I saw it for cheap and picked it up. I really didn't enjoy it watching it myself. It's very boring and there's not a lot happens, but it had a bit of a nostalgic thing about it for me, which is why I picked that one up. Next one I got was I, Madman. Again, I just saw this cheap and it looked interesting, and it is interesting. I enjoyed watching it the other day. So yeah, not a bad one. Next one I got was two old 50s classics. I Was a Teenage Frankenstein and I Was a Teenage Werewolf. These are two films that I've always wanted to add to the collection, but I've don't really see them. They've been quite hard to get hold of, and there was a guy selling both of them, so I picked them both up and watched them both the other night and really enjoyed them. Probably say I Was a Teenage Frankenstein is slightly better out of the two, but both of them are really good films. If you enjoy your 50s horror films, certainly recommend getting those two if you can find them. Next thing I picked up was two Monster Madness DVDs. I have two of them already, and neither these two, and by coincidence somebody was selling these two, so I jumped on them. So I think that's all of them. I think there's 4 of them, and I have them all. Let me know if that's not the case, but yeah, happy to add them to the collection. Next thing I got was Mabud, which is a Wild Eye release, so expecting lots of low budget craziness. It was the cover that attracted me. These Wild Eye covers are always pretty in your face, so saw this cheap and picked it up. Looking forward to watching it. And the last thing I got was Muckman, which is, again, it's a film that I've been trying to get for a while. Somebody was selling it, so I picked it up. So that's what I got from the recent Comic-Con. So let me know what you think, if you've seen any of these movies, and if you like them or dislike them, let me know. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.